it's Jennifer from Fiber Flux. In this video, I'm going to show you how to crochet this beautiful, quick gift ear warmer. This is a super fast little project that is perfect for those chilly days in the winter or fall when you have, maybe if you have a ponytail or you just want to get something around your ears and don't necessarily want to like smush your hair. This is a perfect project for that. What we've done is created like a solid shell stitch pattern and then made like a long rectangle. We're going to seam it together, and then I'm going to show you how to do this optional little cinch in your work as well. Totally optional, and you'll see it both ways at the end of the video. This is less than one skein, and I made this in less than an hour. This is a really fast project. This is part of our 12 weeks of gifting series on Fiber Flux that is going on right now, where I am introducing a brand new quick gift pattern every week for 12 weeks leading up to the holiday season. So by the time the holiday rolls around, you'll have lots of these handmade gifts to give, and I'm going to walk you through every single one each step of the way. We're using the same yarn and the same hook. We're just kind of switching up the colors. Now, if you participate in this, be sure and use the hashtag FiberFluxCowl. And also we have 2 groups that you can participate in to kind of interact with other people making the pieces as well. So without further ado, let's jump right in and talk about sizing. Now the height of this is about 6 inches tall, and the circumference is about 12 inches around. Now I'm going to show you later too how to customize it for sizing. We're going to talk about multiples and length and things like that to get it a different size if you need it to be a different size. So let's get started. You'll need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle. A ruler or tape measure is perfect for this, preferably the tape measure so you can measure circumference. This is more flexible than a ruler, obviously. For the hook, we're going to be using an 8mm L crochet hook, and the yarn we're going to use Red Heart Super Saver Chunky. Now, as a side note, all of the gifts in this series, the 12 weeks of gifting, we're going to use the same yarn, the Super Saver Chunky. We're just switching up the colors, and the 8mm L hook. Now, if you need to substitute yarn, just look for something on the yarn label that recommends the 8mm L hook and the 5 super bulky yarn for that. This color is called Dark Orchid. It's like a really pretty kind of grapey purple, and you can really use any color you like. And I will say you could probably get several ear warmers out of this skein that I have here. All right, so to begin, we're going to grab our yarn and our hook, and we're going to put a slip knot on our hook to begin. Wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop. Bring the yarn behind that loop, reach in with your hook, bring up a loop, and tighten. So our stitch multiple, we're going to be doing this beautiful sort of stacked shell. But what we need to do is we're going to be doing a starting chain of 19. And the width that I'm after is we're going to be making a strip basically and then seaming it at the end. So our multiple is 6 plus 1. So if you're unclear about that, if you want something narrower or wider than what I'm doing, just count on when you're doing your starting chain, do 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 and so forth until you get the width that you need, and then just add 1 more chain to that. I'm going to be doing 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 1. So 18 plus 1, and that will give us a total of 19 chains to start, okay? So let's begin by chaining 19. So wrap the yarn around the hook and pull it through. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Okay, so the one I'm making is pretty wide, but I want it to be able to cover the ears in their entirety. Okay, so we're going to be working 2 rows of the stitch pattern, but then we'll just be repeating row 2 to finish up. Okay, so what we want to do is in the 4th chain from the hook, this loop here does not count. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to work 2 double crochets. Okay. So to make a double crochet, wrap yarn around hook, insert it into the chain, bring up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on the hook. Let me zoom in a teeny tiny bit more. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops, that's 1 double crochet, then work a second double crochet. Next, we're going to skip 2 chains, 1, 2, and in the chain after that, we're going to work a single crochet. So insert the hook into that chain, bring up a loop, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through both loops. Okay, so that's going to create the down slope of our shell or fan, whatever you would like to call it. Okay, so then what we want to do is skip 2 chains, 1, 2, and in the next chain, we're going to work 4 double crochets. So remember the double crochet from before, that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then what we're going to do is skip 2 chains, work a single crochet into the next chain, skip 2 chains, work 4 double crochet into the next chain, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So as you can see, we get some like peaks and valleys happening here. And it's nice and wide, which is really nice in the winter. And then what we're going to do, there will be 3 chains left on your row. So what we're going to do is skip 2 chains, and in that very last chain, we'll work a single crochet. So row 1 is complete. And as you can see, we have this beautiful grape purple fan slash shell. Whatever you like to call them. Leave in the comments down below. Do you call these fans or shells? I've seen them called both. So if you know the difference, I don't think I know the difference. So, or if they're the same, I don't know. Let me know in the comments below, all of you seasoned crochet veterans. Okay, so for row 2 is what we will repeat for the entire rest of the project. Okay, so what we're going to do is chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn our work. Next, in this first stitch, this loop here right at the base of our chain, we're going to work 2 double crochets into that. That's the single crochet from the previous row. We're going to work 2 double crochets into that single crochet from the previous row. And then we're going to work a single crochet into the center of this fan. So as you can see, our fan, remember it had 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4. In the space in the very center of that fan, you can even pull it apart if you need to, work a single crochet. So insert the hook, bring up a loop, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through both loops, and that's all you do. Next, we're going to hop over, and in between the 2 fans from the previous row, you're going to see your single crochet that you worked. You're going to work 4 double crochets into that single crochet from the previous row. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, you can see our fans are starting to sort of stack on top of one another. And I love this stitch for an ear warmer because it's solid. It's still sort of decorative and pretty, almost lacy. It's not wholly like laces, but it has that same kind of feel to it, or feeling when you look at it, but it's a solid fabric, so it's going to keep those ears warm. Okay, go in the center of the next fan, in that space, work a single crochet. Now go into the single crochet from the previous row and work 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then the last thing we're going to do of our row is work a single crochet into the turning chain space. So when we chain and turn, it creates a turning chain space. That's that space. See how you can see this sort of C shape at the end? That's our turning chain. And that space that it creates, just work a single crochet right in that turning chain space, okay? So we have the beginnings of our ear warmer. Now, like I mentioned before, if this is too wide for you, which I like that it's wide personally, but if you want it to be sort of half the size or skinnier, like a headband even, you could play around with the multiples. Remember, the multiples were 6 plus 1. So 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 and so forth until you get the width that you need plus 1 chain, okay? So I'm going to keep repeating row 2 over and over and over again. If you need to back up the video and watch it again, like in slow motion or something like that, please feel free to back up the video and watch it again. Also, you can do it in slow motion. You can rewatch it as many times as you need, but just keep repeating row 2 over and over again until it is as large enough to fit around your head. Now, if you're giving this to someone, and this is part of our gift crochet along, you might want to measure their head, or you could go Google, if it's for a child, you could Google the average head size of a blank year-old child, however, old the child is. You could do the average size head for a woman, average size head for a man if you want to make this for a man. Whatever you choose. If you want to try it on your own head, if you're gifting this to yourself, which is awesome, we need to make more things for ourselves, I believe. Please, wrap it around your head as you go along. I'm going to keep going and we'll rejoin, and I'm going to show you just some of the measurements that I got, also how to seam and how to weave in the end. So stay tuned, we'll finish this up next. Just finishing up that last row, that slips, or that single crochet at the end there. And now we have a nice long rectangle. So the next thing we're going to do is fasten off. So grab your scissors and just cut the yarn, leaving a tail. Wrap the yarn around the hook and pull it through. Okay? So let me just show you what we have here. You can see our beautiful shells, and it still gives us a nice, dense, comfy fabric. So then what we need to do is seam our work, but I want to weave in these ends first. Now, you could do this one of two ways. When you fastened off just now, you could leave a very long tail and use that to seam your work, but I cut mine, so we are going to just weave those in. So you're going to go in one direction with your tail and come back in the other direction. Now, if you used multicolors, what you'll want to do is kind of stay in that same color area. Let me just tuck that in a little bit more, just so it's nice and far up into those stitches. There we go. I like to make sure that tail is locked into place, and then you can snip and then repeat for the other tail. So just come down here and you'll just weave in that end as well. Now, if you cut your tail nice and long, you won't have to do the second one. You can just stay tuned for the next part. Now, I am going to show you the length that I got for my rectangle strip for my ear warmer. So this is for an adult woman. So I got a length of 20 inches. Now, if you're making this for a child, you'll want your strip might be a little bit shorter, okay? So then what you want to do is figure out which side you want facing out. Now, this is a reversible stitch. It's going to look pretty much the same on both sides. So it really doesn't matter, but if you have a side that you've kind of decided is your favorite, feel free to, do that. So then what you're going to do is put the inside out, okay? And then you're going to cut a long tail. I would guess 18 to 20 inches is fine. And then you're going to thread your tapestry needle, just like that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to sort of sandwich these ends together. Now, they're not going to be symmetrical. The bottom is going to be flatter, and the row where you left off, as you can see, is sort of scalloped. But what you want to do is line those up the best that you can. And you're going to come here on the side a little bit and pull it almost all the way through till you have about 6 inches, and then just tie it, okay? Just like that. Now, this is if you cut your tail too short like me. We're just starting from scratch here. All right, next we're going to whip stitch this together. So a whip stitch is basically like a spiral through your work. So we're just going to go through both layers. Make sure you're going through 2 loops of each layer. So a total of 4 loops per pass. And we'll take care of that tail later. And you're just going to hold your sandwich nice and neat. And I grabbed this gold needle so you could see it really well. Now this fluffy yarn is pretty forgiving, but you still want to make sure that you have nice, neat finish work. And whenever I'm seaming something like this, I like to stop about halfway through and flip it out and make sure that it looks okay before you go all the way to the end and cut the yarn and fasten off and start weaving things in. You want to make sure those ends are lined up carefully and that you're getting nice, neat seaming. So I'm about halfway through, so let's flip this out. And you can see it's laying nice and flat. The seam looks nice and neat. Okay, so let's continue. Now if you didn't like it, you could get your crochet hook. What I do is just sort of pull the loops out and just start over. No big deal. This is a pretty short seam, so it wouldn't take long if you needed to redo that part. Okay, so we're just seaming this all the way across in both layers, 2 loops of the first layer, 2 loops of the bottom layer, and we're just pulling it right on through. Okay, so now we're to just about the end here, and you don't want to stop right at the edge. You want to sort of come off to the side a little bit and seam that way as well, because otherwise it'll look sort of like that. The seam will look split. Okay, so pull it almost all the way through till you have a loop here, and then send your needle through the loop and pull it nice and tight. And then you're also going to tie another knot just to hold everything in place. Okay, now while it's still inside out, grab your piece and just send that tail through. You don't even have to take it off the needle. Just while it's still on there, and then you're just going to stay in those back loops here because you'll want to keep it camouflaged. And this royal purple is so pretty. Looks very elegant. And then I have a tail here too. Now I wanted to show you this. So we came up to the edge here, but if you do get, see how I have when I started, I didn't come far enough to the edge. See how it dips like that? I'm going to show you a little trick. If you do get that in your seam, which happens frequently, what you'll want to do is take your needle and come up to the edge here. There we go. And then bring it into that other edge. See, I'm kind of bridging that gap there with my needle. And then just pull it through and then come back in the other direction. Just kind of bringing the sides together if you got a little bit of a dip there. Okay. Now, don't go all the way through with your needle because you want to leave a little loop there and send it through. Okay. And then you can put another little knot. Anything that you wear like this that's going to get a lot of movement and wear out of it, you want to make sure your knots are very secure and tight. Okay, so take your needle and go in one direction. And if you want to, you can come back in the other direction, but my tail is getting pretty short, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay, so let's turn this right side out. Our seam looks great. You can kind of straighten things out if need be. And then our ear warmer is complete. It's nice and wide, it's thick, it's lofty. I'm going to show you how to do one more thing before we depart. If you want to put a little cinch in your ear warmer to make it sort of look like a turban or to give it like a little bit more of a fashionable look, cut another piece of yarn, and then what you can do is thread your tapestry needle and get that cinch back in there like that. Hold that with your fingers. You want it to look sort of like a bow, okay? See how we have a crease here and a crease here? I did that by creating a center bump and then bringing the sides up, okay? I had to kind of fiddle with that before I figured out how to actually do it. And it'll sort of look like a bow. So what you want to do is send your tapestry needle through the middle of that situation, pull it almost all the way through, send it back down, and then just let that needle sit for a minute and tie this on real quick. We're going to put a couple more stitches in here, but I just wanted to get that knot placed in there so we can continue. Okay, and then you're just going to do that a couple more times. And don't worry if it looks a little bit funky right now. We're going to straighten it out in just a moment, okay? So just a couple of well-placed stitches is just fine for what we need. And then what we want to do is just, when you get to the end there, and you have your two tails at the bottom, what you're going to do is just tie that on, and then turn it back inside out, and then you'll have your two ends here. Lots of ends, but it's all good. It's makes a really pretty little extra on your ear warmer. That little cinch looks really cute. Okay, so we're just gonna weave these two in. All right, and then this is the other one I had. We're just gonna go in one direction, come back in the other direction, and now we can take our scissors, give it a little tug, and a little trim, and then turn it right side out, and then sort of straighten things out. Looks like a pretty little bow. And our ear warmer is complete, and it turned out great. And this is a really fast project too. So that is how you crochet the quick gift ear warmer. Now, if you make one of these, please share your photos on social media using the hashtag FiberFluxCowl, and I'll put that above, and that way we can all see what everyone's looks like, which is always fun. Also, we have 2 groups now. So we've had a Ravelry group for a long time where you can hop in and look and see what everybody's doing. But we also have a brand new Facebook group. So I did a poll on Instagram a while ago, and I kind of took a vote, and a lot of you said a Facebook group would be awesome. So I recently started it. I'll put all the links down below for everything. So hop on in and join that group as well. So that is our ear warmer. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.